Thank you for joining another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Today's episode is called Max Up. In this episode, I have the great pleasure of meeting the founder of Max Up, Stephanie Nuesi. She is currently the CEO for this great student and professional coaching and guidance group. She shares insight on her convoluted arrival to the United States, getting vulnerable and sharing her failures along the way, but most importantly, demonstrating how she managed to get back up and continue on a path towards success. I had a great conversation with Stephanie Nuesi. Thank you for joining. Let's get started. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Thank you so much for joining me once again. To the listeners, to the loyal viewers, please, share this episode, share the podcast, and spread the word around. Today I have the privilege and the honor of interviewing a wonderful individual. Her name is Stephanie Nuesi, the CEO and founder of Max Up. She recently finished a Google Virtual Summer Series. She's heavily involved in supporting consulting, and she is pursuing her accounting major, and she transferred from your college and right now is at Baruch College. Welcome, Stephanie Nuesi, to Success Innovation. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you so much for having me here. I am doing great. I am energized and I am ready to get this started. Thank you so much again for having me.
No problem. I know who you are right now at this point, but I want the audience and myself to know you a little bit better as far as your background goes. You're a young lady, so you still got room to grow, but I want to know where your childhood was, where you were born, where you were raised, and how that was coming up through elementary, middle school, high school level, and then leading up to college. Can you kind of walk us through in about 5 minutes or so, quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. So I came to the US 5 years ago. So wanting to start by saying that, but I was raised by my mother. By the time my dad was in the US pursuing the American dream. So I lived with my mom and my brothers for most of my life. I was raised by my mother and my grandparents actually, and I'm very grateful for them, for giving me and teaching me values and things that I could use to become a strong woman as I was growing up. I was the youngest of the family. I'm the youngest child. I came to the family 13 years after my mom had my middle brother. That means that my brother and I, there's a huge age gap. There's like a 15 to 20 years age gap. And so basically they also raised me because they were already grown ups when I was growing up. So as you can tell, I grew up basically alone because, I didn't really have my brothers to play with. And so when I went to elementary school, when I went to middle school and everything, I was basically going by myself. As my brothers already went through the process, and something that I didn't have was I never had my dad next to me for like things like graduation, birthday parties, and none of those things. So that was something that was very challenging for me as I was growing up, not having him next to me. But I knew that he was doing something that was it was going to be beneficial in the future, and I am seeing that now, and I'm always grateful for him to teaching us the importance of sacrificing things like that to help us in the future. So as I was growing up, from middle school to elementary school, and everything that I went through, one of the things that was the most challenging for me was that I suffered bullying for a couple of years, and so that affected me in a way that I didn't think it would. But the reason being was because I never realized that I was very I guess sensitive to different topics, like not having my dad next to me. And that was one of the main things that I was bullied by not having, my dad taking me to school, or not having him on meetings for parents and things like that.
So that
And
was
so
something that schools really bullied you on, not having a dad present when parent conferences took place, and people kind of hit on that, and that sparked a little sensitive area on your side, and people honed in on that. Wow. Okay. So you grew up in the Dominican Republic. So let me kind of backtrack a little bit here. Was your first language Spanish or
Yes.
okay? So and you said that you've been here for the last 5 years. So did you learn English over in the Dominican Republic?
Not at all. So
Okay.
I learned English when I came to the U.S. Actually, everything that it was studied throughout my education history in the R was in Spanish.
Okay.
So when I came here, I didn't even know how to say my name or how to say anything in English. So I had to teach myself English when I came to the country.
Okay, all right. And then, so high school, you did high school in the Dominican Republic, correct? So you're
Yes.
coming here. Are you coming and are you entering a high school when you're just arriving to the US, or are you coming and then going directly into a college? How did that transition happen from the Dominican Republic
So
to here?
actually, if I would have had the choice, I would have preferred to do high school in the US. The reason being it's because I would have adjusted to the education system a lot quicker, and the learning curve would have been better for me, learning English and all. But I actually came straight for college. So that transition was very challenging. The first one, paperwork wise, I had all the paperwork in place to make sure that I could get accepted into college.
Okay.
Coming into the US, applied for 6 colleges, got rejected from all of them. The
Mhm.
reason why I got rejected was not because of my grades or not having knowledge, it was because I didn't know English. So I didn't have the necessary college level English skills that was required for me to go into college. So that's why I said I had to teach myself English. Took 1 year of free classes at public libraries. Remember going to that 3 days a week. Remember watching videos and just overall teaching myself the language so that I could have sort of an intermediate level of English to get accepted into college.
Wow.
Then a year later, 2016, I got accepted into one college, which was your college that you mentioned. And as there, I was categorized as an ESL student. So ESL stands for English as Second Language Student. And from there, I took intensive classes that actually helped me develop my English skills as I was going through my college journey.
Yeah. So now that you were probably considered an international student at that point when you were coming in, what would you say to those students that are international and trying to come into a 4-year university besides the language situation, English proficiency level? What would you suggest that they do to prepare to be able to get accepted into a university of their choice?
One of the things that I would say is to research. I wish when I was in the Dominican Republic, I did a research on which universities I wanted to apply for. And so whenever you're thinking on coming to the US, have a plan. Prepare a document where all the universities that you want to apply for, what are their requirements? What are some of the things that you need to work on? Have your paperwork ready. I remember that I had to wait a lot in my country to make sure that my paperwork was ready and on time for when I was leaving the country. So having your paperwork ready, understanding what requirements are required for you to get into the university that you want to apply, understand the economic system in the US, it's crucial. Meaning, what are some of the financial aid opportunities that are available? Is there any financial aid opportunity, right? Is there any scholarship that you could apply for so that it could help you cover your tuition? Because you will be surprised the amount of students that come to the country but don't know about these opportunities, and they end up having a lot of student debts because of the reason, right? So knowing what opportunities are there to cover your tuition, it's very crucial as well.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. What? So now that you're here and that you've been here for about 5 years, I'm assuming it's probably pretty fresh in your mind. What was the biggest shocker or the biggest surprise when you arrived to the United States? What was the biggest difference that you saw that made you realize that you were not in the Dominican Republic anymore and this was a different country completely?
I think the main one was the different regulations on every single thing. So, for example, going into college and applying for college, there was always a lot of different steps involved in that. Also, who to contact for what, who were the people that could give me the resources. I didn't even know that, there was such a different situations versus in DR. When I was in DR, things was a little, I don't want to say easier, but it was more familiar for me to know like what I needed to do versus here what I had to figure everything out myself. If I can think of a moment that was a shocker for me, I would say it was my first day of college.
Mm.
It was a total different environment. I felt like everyone just went their own way. It was not such a thing of a belonging community. It was just that everyone was going to classes. You had to figure things out yourself. There was not such a community belonging, say, and family belonging that I felt when I was in DR, even in high school. And so coming here into college, learning about the new culture, so many different people from all over the world that sometimes can be a little shocking for you because it's like so many different cultures that you have to be respectful of, that you have to understand, see the way you speak. Everything can just, become a problem. And so that for me was a shocking. All the different cultures, all the different diversities, which I didn't have when I was in DR. It was mainly people from DR, but here it was people from all over the world. And so it was that, and then learning how to communicate effectively with these individuals was something that was really shocking for me.
So seeing that this truly is a melting pot area of a country versus, coming from, when you say the R, you're referring to the Dominican Republic, just for the people that are watching. It's an acronym that she's using. And so that's a shocker. The vast diversity, not only in culture, but in way that people communicate, people behave, and you're pursuing an accounting degree at this point. Can you share with us why it is better, or why the decision to come and study accounting in the US versus staying in the Dominican Republic and doing an accounting degree over there? I mean, it's great that you're here,
Absolutely.
but yes.
So one of the things that I found out after doing a research of different careers in the US was that there were opportunities to do internships at big four accounting firms here.
Okay.
In the Dominican Republic, we don't have such opportunities.
Okay.
The only opportunity that you would have would be go to college, graduate, and try to find a job. And right now there's only two accounting firms in the country that are big four. And so the opportunities to get into those firms were really low.
Hmm.
And for me, I wanted to develop myself and get even more opportunities and work in corporate and get that experience in the accounting world. And so coming here represented that opportunity for me to be able to adopt the skills in GAAP. GAAP is a one of the regulations for accounting in the US that are used here, and being able to utilize that knowledge into the accounting world here versus the opportunities that I didn't have in the Dominican Republic. And I knew that getting a degree in the Dominican Republic could have helped, but the difference is that coming here with a degree would have made it a lot more difficult because getting the degree here would lead you to many opportunities versus coming with a degree already, which you have to do some sort of classes and courses and this and that to even see if you can get an opportunity. So the adjustments to accounting as well was something huge. And what I mean by that is the network. In the Dominican Republic, there's not this network of like accountants that you can really, collaborate with, get to know more, and people that you can develop and build connections with versus here. So those were the two huge factors that led me to my decision to study accounting here.
Okay, fantastic. You mentioned key factors. You mentioned that you decided to come here and study accounting because there was more opportunities in uh, getting an internship, and you also mentioned the fact of networking society. So I'm going to focus a little bit on the passion and pursuing your passion for accounting. So everybody, as a young student, as a young person, is still in that nebulous stage. But how did you, Stephanie, decide to pursue accounting, where you could have gone to, business management, engineering, or, economics or something along those lines, but you decided for accounting? What was that aha moment where you said, I'm going to pursue accounting? How did you manage to do that?
So one of the first inspirations I got for accounting is that my brother is actually an accountant.
Okay.
So my older brother, as I mentioned, there's a 20 years age gap, but my brother has around 8 years of experience in accounting in the Dominican Republic. And the aha moment for me was that I always used to see my brother working in Excel, doing audits, working on financial statements, reading books of accounting. And I always look up to my brother into seeing that he was so successful, and I always wanted to do something that he or related to what he was doing. But what catch my attention was that one day he walked me through an example of how he actually audited a financial statement or a company. And that for me was amazing. I got to see the full picture of how a company works in just 5 minutes. He literally walked me through the entire financial statement, and in my head I already knew what the company do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And for me, I said, that's what I want to do, because imagine the impact you can have in a company when you know exactly what they do, how they operate, just by looking at the numbers in a financial statement.
Wow.
That
Okay.
was
No,
for me the aha moment.
this is great. Not the whole your brother walked you through the how the company and the financial statement, but this is great because you have a role model that you looked up to. You had that, and they showed you what they did, or in this case, your brother did, and it opened up a door for you to actually pursue that path. Now, to the audience, if you don't have a mentor or a role model, I suggest that you find and seek one. If you're interested in something or you don't have any idea, the best way to actually determine whether you want to pursue that career path is to talk to somebody that's in that career path. That's what a role model and or a mentor is. And in this case, Stephanie's brother was her role model and her mentor at the same time. This is great, great. So now you mentioned the networking societies. Can you kind of talk to us about what that is and what you've encountered in the States so far as a vast amount of networking societies available?
Absolutely. I was so amazed by the amount of networking opportunities that are in this country when I came. I had no idea about all the organizations that were here. When I came, I saw so many organizations for different diverse students. For example, people who are Black, Hispanic, like from all different backgrounds, and I didn't even know that existed. So when I found those organizations, that's what one of the first networking areas that I found. And then after that, I saw the first one that was in a physical environment, college. You see people from all diverse backgrounds every single day. You talk to them, you exchange value. There's this key portion of networking that people forget sometimes, the value exchange. So in this case, I was always exchanging something, either information, something about my country, something about the class, something about my passion, something about goals. There was always this exchange in information that I found so valuable and that I didn't have before coming here. And so not only that, but then I found something that today has been my main networking area, which is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn for me has allowed me to meet with individuals from all across the globe. And I'm talking about people from all over the world. And what I found out and what I realized is that LinkedIn can help me connect with people all at the same time. And we're talking about millions of people.
Right.
And the beauty of it is that it only takes one message, one post, one engagement, something to interact with people that you don't know can eventually in the future become your mentors, your sponsors, your employers, people who you work with, your colleagues. Because I've been networking with people for the past 3 years on LinkedIn that today I've interned with them at a company, or I end up doing a project together with Maxwell. The people that I have on my team, all of them, I met them through LinkedIn. There was no such a thing as an in-person experience. all of them were met through LinkedIn and the network part. So that's the beauty of networking, meeting people who in the future can potentially work with you.
Awesome. So you bring up Max Up. How did you decide to get Max Up started, and what is Max Up?
Absolutely. So before even saying what is Max Up, I want to walk you back into when I came to the country.
Mhm.
You see all those challenges I face, all those rejections, not getting into college, not getting admitted into college, not being able to find the resources on how can I actually pay for my tuition, or not knowing how to get an internship. In my country, there was no such thing as an internship. So coming here and having to know already that I had to get an internship was the assumption for me. As a college student, you're assumed to know that you need to get an internship.
Mm,
I didn't know that.
mm,
And so the thing is that I wish I had a Max Up when I was a freshman in college.
okay.
Why? Because I wish I would have a mentor, a coach, someone who I could go to and ask the questions that I wouldn't ask anywhere. Because I would look it up online and there was not enough information for me to know where do I need to go now? What is the next step? How can I work in a company like the Big Four, for example, in Family County?
Mhm.
That's the reason why I founded Max Up.
So there's no breakdown of step by step of the process. It's kind of like
Exactly.
a culture, tribal knowledge. If somebody knows that has had done it before, as far as getting an internship, if I did it, I tell you, and you're like, oh, okay, I need to get an internship. But maybe the person next to you doesn't know that, and they don't have a mentor like me, or somebody else that tells them get an internship. So they walk through the path of college, never actually pursuing an internship, never actually applying for that, scholarship at X and Y Z company. So they just kind of maneuver through, oblivious to all those opportunities that are available. So I think what you're saying, Max Up, is that venue where a student or a young professional can go in and get opportunities laid out in the table, get partner up with a mentor and a mentee, and walk people through those things that will benefit their career path a little bit better.
and and not only that, so I always love to say this analogy to people. Think about your role model. Think about if it's a CEO of your dream company, could be a professional athlete. Think and ask yourself, why do you think they have a coach? So you may think that they already are successful. They already achieve a level of success. A professional athlete is already successful, but they have a coach behind them telling them, pushing them, you can do better. So that's what Max Up stands for, maximizing potentials. I think that college students have limited beliefs. And what it means is that they think that going through college is all about just getting a degree, graduating, or even just getting an internship and that's it. There's so much more into that. How can you, as a college student, develop your potential and continue achieving things that you know you can do? And so I always love this analogy because I think that there's a misconception that students think that they have to wait until they get into their dream careers to maximize their potentials or to even develop their potentials. And I think because these role models that you have, these professional athletes that you look up to, how do you think they made it? They had that mentality of not having limited beliefs and having a mentor or a coach behind them, pushing them to continue breaking through those walls. And so I think that having that in mind, college students now have the opportunity to be pushed to continue achieving things that are not just in the standard, in standard core, things that are what their society tells them to do, right? Versus what they can actually do and what they can actually achieve.
That is correct. That is correct. You're also, you founded and you started Max Up back in 2019, but you've also been involved with something called One Salting. Can you kind of walk us through what the difference is between Max Up and One Salting and how you manage one and the other?
So I am actually a One Salty mentee.
Okay.
So Consulting, it's an ag company that focuses on turning on the dogs into winners. That's their mission statement.
Okay.
Consulting was founded by my mentor Jonathan Javier. I think in January 2019. I
Mhm.
actually met Jonathan couple years ago, way before he started consulting. And so when he told me about his project, I definitely supported him. When he told me about his switching in careers in different companies, also supported him. And I've always supported consulting because I believe in the mission of helping people that come from non-traditional backgrounds to land their dream careers. And so thanks to Jonathan, he was one of the mentors who actually helped me develop my idea into what actually is Max Up today. So
Mhm.
one day I sit down with Jonathan, I talk to him about this is what I want to do, this is the idea. And then from there we went into what actually Max Up is today, helping me along the way into developing the company business plan, target audience and all these different steps in the process to becoming what it is today. And so Jonathan is actually a strategic advisor for MaxUp. So he makes sure that, we're actually up to date with our goals and that we're working towards achieving even more than we're doing today. And I'm very thankful for this. If he's listening to this, I'm thankful for you, for everything that you've done for MaxUp. And I know that Consulting is also a great, great company and that they're doing so much for everyone to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to work with their desired companies.
Awesome. A shout out and acknowledgement to Jonathan Javier for, supporting Max Up and for being your advisor and guidance counselor, as a matter of fact, on that. So who would you say benefits from partaking in Max Up? Would it be a young student? Would it be a young professional? Who are we targeting with Max Up?
So MaxUp is not just for college students, it's also for early young professionals. So as I mentioned before, everyone needs to make sure they develop their potentials, not just when they're students, but also when they're starting their careers. Because something that I've seen, and this is a pattern, when people land their dream careers, they become too comfortable in the area where they are. And so being uncomfortable pushes you to continue challenging yourself every day and developing your potential, which is the main reason behind Maxo. And so this is not just college students, early young professionals, and I've also worked with experienced hires who want to switch careers from, like, say, from finance to tech. Different stories. Everyone has a different passion, and so we definitely work with everyone and anyone.
That's great. So let's go back to this idea has to start somewhere before it becomes reality, before you actually have a team. But then, you start talking about the idea and it starts materializing. At what point? And I'm assuming you were a little hesitant to take that leap of faith to get started. But what was the catalyst moment that made you jump full throttle onto this venture?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna walk you through how everything happened. So in January 3rd of 2019, I'm listening to a podcast, and the guy is saying, talking about your why, new year, new goals, as they say, and they're talking about what is your why. So I know you want to start something, but why? What is the reason behind? What do you want to achieve with that? And I feel like he was talking directly to me. I feel like it was a sign that he was talking to me that I needed to start thinking about why I wanted to do it. Because if you don't have your reason written down or talk through your reason, the why you want to do it, you can get lost along the way.
Mhm.
So I make sure that even before I think about the idea and drafting the business plan, I knew why I wanted to do it, helping people maximize their potentials. And so that was in January 3rd of 2019. August of 2019, 8 months period, took 8 months for me to walk from the why into the actual idea. Why is that it took me 8 months? I was very hesitant.
Mhm.
Imposter syndrome kicked in. I used to think, I'm a college student. Who would believe that I have the skills or the experience or the knowledge to help someone land their dream career? So what I did And this is something that happened in one day, listening to another podcast. And the guy is talking about maximizing. So the word maximizing came to mind. He was talking about maximizing something. I believe it was a project or success, and then it was just like, it just clicked. I was just, wait, I want to maximize. I want to uplift. I want people to level up. There's something about maximize that catches my interest. And then I start thinking about, and then I put them together. I'm like, max up, maximizing potentials. And it was just like in 1 second
It
kind of
was an
thing. I just,
epiphany for you at that point. The name
at
just
that
came.
point, the name
Wow.
just came. And
Wow.
it was just like, this is great, because coming up with a name for your company, for your project, for whatever it is the hardest part for me,
Right.
personally speaking.
Right.
And when I got the name, I said, everything else, I can do it. I got the name, I got the why, let's do it. And
Right.
so it's just sort of times where, like, you have the idea in your mind, but then you need someone to take it out from you and put it into words. That's what I did. Sit down with Jonathan, told him the idea, told him the name, told him the reason. We created a Google Doc, and we just started brainstorming and writing down things that I wanted to do in the next 5 years. And this is why, and this is the target audience. And literally, that's how it happened.
Wow. Okay. So it's been about a year. It's been about August 2019 to August 2020. It's been about a year now. What has been the most surprising aspect of being the CEO slash founder of MaxUp so far?
I can tell you the most surprising aspect of it all is that I did not expect MaxUp to be what it is today. And I did not know how much help college students actually needed.
Wow.
Yes, I could tell you that yes, students needed help. I did not know to what level they needed help. And we're talking about a whole nother level, confidence wise, getting out of their comfort zone and just like, it's so much that needs to be help from every single individual in college, from every single aspect. And I didn't know. I thought it was just like, career wise, that, landing your dream career, internship wise, it goes so much more than that. There is this development of mindset of like, I can do this. I believe in myself, giving yourself your one yes. I actually made a post 3 days ago talking about the power of one yes. How important it is for us to say yes to ourselves.
Right.
Yes, I can do this. Yes, it can happen. So if we think about success, the first step, say yes to yourself,
That's
right?
right.
And so that was the most surprising thing to me. And with everything that's happening with the pandemic, everything just exploded. Every single college student that was out there, they needed help. Now it was like they all on LinkedIn all over, and I was just like, thank God MaxUp was here, because the amount of help that I've been able to provide, not me, my team, everyone, to these students have been tremendous. And not just career-wise, just being the support system for them, so they don't give up. And again, as I said, as a freshman, when I went through those challenges, I wish I would have that. So I wouldn't have thoughts of giving up, of not continuing. And you know how COVID-19 affected so many college students, losing jobs, losing internships, even professionals, being laid off. Mental health is a thing. And so, we were there for so many people. And I can tell you, I work every single day from March to July without stop, helping people. And so for me, the most surprising part was the help that was needed was much more than what I thought was needed in August 2019.
Awesome. So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here for a little bit. And your target audience is more for college students and young professionals, but let's focus on the college students. College campuses advertise having a career center and counselors to support you in a lot of things. And how is MaxUp, and I'm pretty sure you have an answer for this, how is MaxUp better or different than a student going into a career center and taking benefit off of that college campus career center?
So I would tell you about my experience. I can tell you I went to career centers at my colleges, not once, not twice, 5, 10, 15 times
Okay.
to get my resume done. I never knew who was fixing my resume. Never. I
Oh.
would submit the resume online, right? Someone would fix it from career center. They would send it back to me.
Hmm.
I had no idea. There was no that one-on-one interaction. I never had that. The
It could have been
second
another
thing,
student that was in the same boat as you, making syntax error corrections and feeding it back to you. But with MaxUp, I'm assuming that there's people with experience, professionals that are possibly, in the industry workforce, looking at resumes from students and making recommendations of what to do. Because if you have a resume and you tailor it to whatever that professional is telling you to do, if you submit it to the system in that industry, it'll more than likely be able to pass the automatic tracking system, the ATS, the
ATS,
robot, right?
absolutely.
Because that professional has an idea of what the system probably looks for and how to tailor that resume for that company. So that makes a lot of sense.
And not just that as I told you, I would submit my resume, but now with MaxUp, we actually bring professionals from all these industries to tell the students, this is what you need to do to get in this seat right now.
Mm.
Transparent information. They're telling you from step 1 to step 5, this is what you need to do. You want to get work at this company, these are the steps. This is how your resume can be viewed by recruiters. Recruiters are now coming with MaxUp to tell us, this is what we're looking for. This is it. This is the resume we want. It's literally here, And so I didn't have that when I was looking and seeking for help at career centers, right? And so that's the little difference there. The human aspect of it. I sit down with people for 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. Why? Because I want to get a life behind the resume. It's not just about fixing bullet points and fixing a word. It's like, what exactly did you do here? How we can make this better? And then adding recommendations. You mentioned ATS.
Mm-hmm.
You know the amount of people in college that know about ATS?
I'm pretty sure it's about 20% or 15%, somewhere around there. But we go back to the culture and to the mentorship and to the networking portion. If those students don't have a role model mentor who can refer them to those words or that verbiage or that system that's in place, they don't know. There's no way to know. Similar to what you did, going to that career center, submitting your resume online, the school career center is going to try to do the best thing that they can, but they're an educational institution. They're not part of the industry, so obviously they're going to have people there that are following some sort of process or guideline that is drafted up and is probably a couple years behind the times of what is actually going on now. So this is great. Now you have Max Up and you have this ability to help students. And how can people actually get in contact with Max Up? Is there a fee for them to actually participate in this? How much of a time do they have to spend before they actually get placed with the mentor if that's what they're seeking? How does that work? I'm pretty sure there's information in the website, but I want to hear it from you.
Absolutely. So if they need to contact us directly, they can do so at hello@themaxup.com. Not only this, but in terms of like directly asking a question, they can either reach out to me on LinkedIn or they can email me directly as well, Stephanie@themaxup.com. And so for the waiting area, we usually reply within 24 to 48 hours. So that's 2 business days. And for the fee, that information is available, as you said, on the website, on our LinkedIn page. If they have any questions, because again, these are more personal services. So whatever you need and whatever help you need, we're here to help you. So they can feel free to email us. What are their goals? What are their, what they want to do and what they want to achieve, and we'll be more than happy to provide that service for them.
It's amazing. That's amazing. That's great. So what, now that you're the CEO of MaxUp, you have been able to transform and function in a very difficult situation during this pandemic. You are focusing yourself in also pursuing internships, and you have been very successful in also leading MaxUp. To me, you are a successful individual. But what is next for Stephanie Nuesi at this point?
That's a great question. So, for me, what is next is to continue developing MaxUp on a more global scale. What that means is that continue bringing more people to the team that can also help people on a global level. What I mean, to help students from Australia, from India, from, anywhere else in the world. We need people who have knowledge of those industries, of how the hiring process work there, and all those things. So for me, that's the next steps in terms of max up. Me personally, I have a goal of becoming a public speaker, nationally widely known. And
Okay.
so unfortunately, because of COVID-19, a lot of my speaking engagements got canceled. But my goal for the next 5 years is to speak at a tech conference, a tech talk, and I want to speak about growth mindset.
Mm,
So growth mindset is one thing that I love to talk about. And my goal personally is to continue developing my skills in English to become a public speaker.
awesome. I know you will definitely succeed at doing that. This is called a rapid fire question. So, good leaders always create good leaders. Do you have an individual you actually look up to, and who are your mentors?
Great question. Mentor number one, Jonathan Javier. We mentioned him before. He has mentored me for a while. I look up to him a lot. He helped me in the transition into going from a college student into a CEO. So that was a great, 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 great help. Another couple of mentors that I have were people that helped me when I came to the US, transition from college into learning about what are some of the internships that are available. And so those people did not give me everything in my hands. They told me this is what you can do. Now I want you to go and get it.
Hmm,
So they were those type of people that would challenge me to be better and to become a better person. That's why I developed that mindset. Not because everything was given to me, but because they told me this is where it can be found. Now go and get it and then come and tell me how was the experience.
awesome, awesome. The next question is, what do you believe your superpower to be? And if you can't think of one right now that you might have, which superpower from any superhero would you select and why?
My superpower is I'm a potential maximizer.
Okay,
What that
all right.
means is that I help people maximize their potentials. That's why MaxUp goes with me and I go with MaxUp everywhere I go because I maximize potentials. I'm a potential maximizer.
Awesome. Potential maximizer to the max, to be redundant on that. Do you have any particular book, movie, or podcast that you believe has made an impact in your life and you wish more people would actually take advantage of it?
Absolutely. Starting with podcasts, I mentioned a lot that I was listening to podcasts. I have to give credit. Mastering College to Career by Daniel Botero. That was the podcast I listened to that helped me develop the why and that helped me come up with the name of Max Up. So I'm very thankful to that podcast. It basically helps students who want to get into their dream careers more into a educational perspective. So I really appreciate that. In terms of books, wow, that's a tough one. I have a lot of different books, but I want to mention an author, John Maxwell.
Okay.
Definitely a great author. I would 100% recommend everyone to read his books. He talked about leadership a lot, and I think that the developing of a leadership mindset from day one is essential for everyone that want to be a CEO, everyone who wants to start a business, everyone who want to work in the dream company. Leadership is crucial. So John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, success at different stages of our lives means is different, and to everybody, it's different. Right now, for Stephanie Nuesi, what is your definition of success?
Definition is success for me, it's when I can get to help someone else change their life for the positive. So what that means is that when I'm helping someone else, I am happy because I know that I could make that person life better and I could make that person life happier. And so that's why I call myself the potential maximizer. I
Awesome.
love helping others. And so for me, success is that when I get a message from someone saying, you changed my life, you helped me be better, you helped me, for me, that's success.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. And this last question, I really enjoy asking this question of every guest that I have. I want you to go back in time, and I want you to go back to that 17 or 18-year-old girl who's coming from the Dominican Republic, and she is just about to step into that ESL class at the local library, and she has been rejected from 5 universities because the lack of English. And if you could spend about 2 to 3 minutes to share 3 pieces of advice with her, what would you actually share with that young Stephanie Nuesi at that point?
Dear young Stephanie, don't rush, your time will come. You know, everything that you're going through is for a reason, and you will see success eventually, and you will see the fruits of everything you're working hard for right now. You're very young, you have a long life ahead. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your time, enjoy being in a new country where you can get to develop yourself. Number 3, understand that you're human. Not everything will come out perfect. There will be mistakes, there will be rejections, there will be failures. But don't worry. Don't worry about that, because in the future, there will be a son, a grandson, an audience that will listen to your story of how many times you failed and how many times you came back up as a stronger woman.
Right. And also, if I might add, you only need one yes, and that yes is for you to believe in yourself. So that
The
is
power
awesome.
of one yes.
The power of one yes, correct. I want to acknowledge you, Stephanie Nuesi, from coming, from the Dominican Republic to the United States, from getting rejected from 5 universities, for learning English, going to classes, evening classes for 1 full year, and getting, good in the English language, written and verbal, and for starting Max Up. I want to acknowledge you for all the work that you do for helping students that are in need of that support. I want to acknowledge you for being a persistent young lady, for being the CEO of your company, for stepping out there, and for accepting that one yes that you gave yourself that long time ago. I want to thank the audience for listening to another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. I hope that this has been helpful, and if you find it helpful, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. This has been Lázaro Herrera for Success Innovation. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thank you for finishing another fantastic episode with Success Innovation. Today we learned so much more about Stephanie Nuesi and how she managed to pivot at one point that dissolution which clouded her dreams. We learned about the collaboration and networking which really allowed her to create Max Up. Thank you, Stephanie Nuesi, for your time in conversation with me. This has been Lázaro Herrera for Success Innovation. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.